just outside our big shed, just at the front of the block. My son and I were up here about an hour ago. He was doing some weights, I was doing some work in the shed, and just to give you a bit of an idea, that's where my son was up there. I was down here working on some stuff, and I had to go outside because I had to wash out a paintbrush. And just as I was coming outside, I opened the door. Immediately upon opening the door, my son heard really fast two-footed running, quite heavy, quite fast. As I was walking out here, I was walking up the steps. I had to come up here to the tap here and rinse the brush out there. And as I was rinsing the brush out, our dog just went crazy. We got a Kelpie, Molly, and I heard her running, 100 mile an hour barking, and she was running sort of through there, heading in that direction. And you can see in the distance up there, that's one of our driveways. And so she went up there. I couldn't see anything run through there. I think whatever ran through there went through before, but Molly ran up there barking, and Keegan come running out, told me what he'd heard. And one of the strange things that I noticed too, when I came out, was this stench. They say that yowies smell really bad, and I'd never really noticed it before any of the previous encounters. I stepped outside and there was like this really rank wet dog slash I don't know, cow smell. I can't really describe it, but it was pretty feral. And it was funny, I was just thinking that possibly there was a yowie or something out here right before the dog started going crazy. Anyhow, went out and had a look. My wife came up in the car, and we started to investigate some footprints. So what my son heard was, he was on the other side of this door here. What he heard was running down this footpath here, and then a sort of a change of direction, heading that way, and then it almost turned around back on itself and headed up into that driveway up there. So from there down here, scooting around, and then up there. Now it's funny enough, we went and looked for some tracks after this, and it's quite amazing what we found. Trying to get the camera to pick it up here. Smallish sort of footprints there. What you got to understand is, at the time when this happened, the ground was really wet, and these footprints were dry patches in the ground. These two are really close together. Let me come up here. There's another bigger one there. I'm talking about, that's my finger width there. That's quite a smaller one. There's another one there. There, but the biggest one's coming up here. There's a really big one right here. Now that's the width of my hand. Put my foot in there. Sort of the width of my foot. Remembering again, the ground was wet here, so that took a dry patch out. There's another one really close. I'm actually thinking there was two. Whatever was there was two. There's another one there. It's really hard to pick up. Try and pick it up on the camera there. Right there. And it just keeps going up here. There's one there. Sorry, it's really hard to get a good look on it with the torch. One there. Continues up in that same direction that Keegan heard it running, my son. Gets a bit hard there, so you can't really pick it up there. There's another really big one here, right there. Another one there. And then it's a little bit scarce through there. Then when we sort of head further up this way, right there, there's a massive one. Pretty hard to see again with the shadows. I'm trying to get a good shot here. Even get the torch out the way. Right there where it's just dug up the gravel. Again, there, wherever I shine the torch. And then there's another one right here. And then it continues on up our driveway, which is actually hard stone and concrete. I walked out there onto the street and had a look around, couldn't see anything. Did hear some wood tapping over on the neighbour's block, which is sort of covered in trees, so I couldn't see anything. My dog's up there now having a good look around. Can't see anything or hear anything or smell anything at the moment, but these footprints are the first probably running footprints of, see there's another one right there, of footprints of something running. And look, it's footprints way bigger than a dog paw or anything like that. I'm suspecting there's two of whatever it is, because there's some prints that are really close together, which anything with a footprint sort of that size is going to have bigger strides than that. Seem to be different size footprints too, so I'm thinking there was two of them. Either that or it was a rather large 4-footed animal screaming up there at 100 mile an hour. It was fast, because by the time I'd gotten out of the door and up to the tap, whatever it was, had already reached the stone concrete pavement, which is why I didn't see anything when I shone the torch, but all I heard was our dog running up there. Yeah, so this is the first real sort of strong evidence that I've seen of any large continuous set of footprints. It's clearly something running 1 foot after the other and really kicking up the stones. What's of considerable note is the timing. Like I said, we were in the shed doing various things. It rained while we were in the shed, which is what created the wetness of the ground. The moment I walked out of the door is when the activity took place, and then when we saw the footprints, the fresh footprints, they were dry patches. So it happened very, very recently. So I've got no doubt. Look, in terms of the existence of the Yowie, I haven't actually had a full-on visual sighting yet. I've seen something large move in through the bushes down by the riverbank. I'd say, in terms of my level of belief, I'm about 95% there. There's definitely something on our block, something large, something two-legged, and something unhuman, if you like. So that's our latest happening out here. Again, recapping some of these footprints there. I don't know if you can see that a little bit better there. If I get a bit of a zoom on it, that's one of the footprints there where it's been disturbed. Sort of there where it's on the torch. There. But most of the real clearer ones are where it sort of started to really take off. So there was one there. See how it's broken up. A really big one. Well, there's one big one there. Again. But the really big one, well, there's one big one there. I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Again, it's my footprint there. The width of it. This is the really deep one. So really, something really got a foothold there. See the size of my foot? Whatever went in there was wider than my foot. So my foot's a size 13. I'm about 6'1", size 13 foot. It was at least my size or bigger. And then continue on down here, this is where they get really close together. 1, 2, 1, 2 close together there, and there's some that are smaller, which is, like I said, makes me think there's a fairly clear one here, right there. I think they're fairly quite light on their feet at times too. I only think the reason they left footprints this time is because they're in a bit of a panic. Generally they're fairly light footed, which is why I don't think we've seen a lot, but this is pretty cool. So for what we've worked out by what my son heard, he said he sort of heard some moaning, breathing and moaning as it was running. Straight down through here, turned the corner, accelerated really fast, then up to our driveway up there, and up out the front, out onto the main street, up the road, which is where the creek runs all the way through to the National Forest, which is where I think, if they are coming from somewhere, that'd be it. Anyhow, we'll see what happens from here. We might get some more activity tonight. There's been a lot happening lately.